no matter where you are. Again, it's insane how we all live on the same planet, but it's morning for people, evening for people, afternoon for other people. It's like a very lame version of time traveling. Anyway, I am here today to continue what we have started, which is the journey of a literary take on anime and manga culture. Now, you might say, this sounds boring. Why are we doing this? Well, for many, many reasons, my friend. Anime and manga culture have been pop culture for so many years. But in reality, some of them, the majority of them, are good enough to be called literature, if not even better. But to be treated like literature, to be immortalized, to be part of the discourse, you need to enter academia. You need to be taught at universities, at colleges, and so on. So, this is one man's journey with your support to campaign to make anime and manga culture eventually, one day, major at universities, since we are studying Shakespeare and Oscar Wilde and all these amazing great people that brought literature to the world. Why aren't we studying the amazing works of modern Japanese literature, which is anime and manga? The problem is people don't take it seriously, usually because the discourse around them is very visual, is very popular, is not serious enough, is not analytical enough, and they say that there isn't material out there that can be taught. But we're changing that. We have already done two lives that were on the topic of world building. We showed the good and the bad examples. And today we are going to talk about storytelling, pacing, and we are using the perfect example for that. We are using Naruto. Now, even if you have been living under a rock, Naruto is popular enough, is widespread enough that you probably have watched it under the rock. Now, brief introduction to what we will do today. Today, we will talk about a specific element of the Naruto masterpiece, which is the generation building aspect of the time frame that the story was told within, which is very special, very unique, especially if you became a fan of manga and anime in the recent few years where storytelling is very fast paced. It's almost junk food like. Recently, a lot of Japanese artists, mangakas, and writers came out and were very angry that these days anime is becoming more and more popular with global audiences, especially in the West. And they kept saying that they don't care about that, they don't want that, because they don't want to have to cater their writing style or their art style towards a global audience. But jokes on them. Using these lives and using the discourse we're going to create on these channels, we are going to be super educated and fluent in the culture of manga and anime to the point where we'll be able to appreciate it as much as any Japanese person, and global audiences are going to be sophisticated enough to embrace whatever those mangakas and artists want to give us. They're just worried because recently the type of shows that have become popular and their adaptations aren't exactly like up to the standard that those artists are used to. It has been a junk food fest, at least to say. I'm not going to name any names. Jujutsu Kaisen, again, don't come from me. I am a huge fan of Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm just saying that that's the hype that has been happening lately that got them all worried that they're gonna have to do like fast-paced storytelling, things that are just good enough to be animated into these wild fight scenes with no dialogue. So they're a little weird, understandable. But let's go back to our topic. Why is Naruto special? Naruto is not just a work of art. I want you to think of Naruto as Kishimoto's child. And I'm not talking metaphorically, I'm talking literally. Imagine if you had a virtual child. You created this virtual child, just like some of those old school virtual pets that you used to buy and raise virtually. And Kishimoto gave birth to Naruto and decided to raise his child in front of the whole world. Naruto was not a story, it was the upbringing of a whole person, a real person. Naruto was pretty real, I swear. The character development, the world building, everything. He took his time with it. Naruto's been going on for like it ended now, but it went on like for many years. If you watched Naruto, you grew up with Naruto. We knew Naruto from when he was a freaking toddler, an infant, and they were sealing the Nine Tails inside him. And by the time we said goodbye, he had a wife and kids, just like us, the generation that started with him. So I prepared some material for today that we can go through. I do not know if uh, I'll be able to share it. Let me give it a shot. Okay, awesome. I was able to share it. So, if we're going to learn, we need lesson material. So, Teacher Salaryman is here to do that with you. Naruto growing up with a generation. Again, as I said, Naruto was not your typical anime story. It is a story about growing up. You get introduced to that child and you go through life with him. And not just the crazy ninja life. You're not going through just superpowers and learning skills and cool fights. No, no, you're going through the whole thing. You're going through puberty, you're going through relationships, growing organically. You're going through family issues. You're going through even like his taste in food. You get to eat ramen with him. You get to watch this boy grow into the man that he was as Hokage. You get to learn about his dreams, his ambitions. You get to learn about his flaws. You get to learn about how he exceeds them. It is literally a story about growing up, or if I don't know if I'm expressing this correctly in English, coming of age story, I guess. Now, Naruto as a child, he was far from the right protagonist. Naruto as a child was untamed, in an insane character. He reminded me a lot of Goku from the original Dragon Ball show. He was unhinged. He was uh, bullied, isolated. He was completely immature. He was just dying to be loved. And let me tell you something. What I recommend anyone with kids to do is literally let Naruto raise your kids. That is like best life hack 2026. Get your little kid, 4 or 5 years old, turn on Naruto, and let that kid watch it every day. Naruto will raise your kid from the age of 5 till your kid comes back home and shows you your grandkids. I swear to God. And you will feel 100% safe that your kid is learning everything about life. Like Naruto was bullied, your kid gets to see how he dealt with it, how he felt about it. When we were young and we were watching this, and he was isolated, and we felt isolated, and he was bullied, and sometimes we were bullied, we felt validated. We watched this and it was like, oh, even superheroes go through this. Even main characters like Naruto go through this. So it is the perfect anime to form a real connection with as a child. And it is long enough to take you on the journey rather than just form meaningful relationships and like making them pop and like disappear into thin air. No. Naruto's emotional immaturity was actually the best infrastructure they could build on because he was heavily flawed, which left room for character development. And let me tell you something, I genuinely respect Kishimoto for this. Like, people usually try to open with something super redeeming about the main character. Like, I see Black Clover, the protagonist Asta is like mirrors Naruto in certain aspects, but also once they started, they showed how Asta was like already like hardworking, exercises a lot, like this ripped figure with a big dream, stuff like this from the get go, because they want you to relate and respect that main character. With Kishimoto, he was not ashamed of showing Naruto as an extremely annoying, extremely childish main character that makes you like, is this person really the main character? Is this person gonna grow up into a fully fledged hero? And that's okay. That's okay because again, the biggest advantage that Naruto had is that they took their time with the storytelling, every aspect of it. Naruto, of course, d- like yearned for love, and because he could not form relationships in a healthy way, because he's a child in a very bad situation, the only way he thought he could be loved is by being recognized as the strongest or the most important person in that village. And think about it, when you were a kid, didn't you go through the same? Didn't you think like, oh my God, if I want to be loved at school, if I want to be respected, if I want to be revered, I need the fastest car, I need the coolest toy, I need the strongest athletic track record, whatever it is, because you're a child, instead of thinking, if I want to form healthy relationships, I need to love and be loved, I need to create like communication channels with my colleagues. Now you're a child. You think, whoa, if I'm awesome, they're just gonna love me, and that's what Naruto built his whole young personality around. I'm going to be the Hokage, and again, we see that theme in Black Clover, which I'm very conflicted about Black Clover. We will have an episode just about that. But for now, Asta is also going with the same choice. We're like, I am an orphan. I don't feel loved. I don't feel that I connected with society in the right way. So I'm just going to be the best at everything. And that's how people are going to love me. Poor impulse control, I'm not going to even talk about it. If you saw an episode of Naruto from a distance, like you just caught a glimpse of it, Naruto was doing something stupid and making all the bad decisions just as a child would do. Now, this is extremely important because this is what makes it a masterpiece. Time, time. Years pass slowly. We are not rushed through anything. But is it really because Kishimoto forced this or because the landscape back in the day allowed for this? Like back then, people watched movies, people read books, read comics, even YouTube videos were like 10 to 20 minutes, if not more. So the attention span of the audience and the viewers, it was pretty extensive. Uh, People could sit down for hours, and even back then, even in Western culture, the shows ran for many seasons. Sitcoms, soap operas, everything. The culture was to connect to work of entertainment for a decade, and maybe even let your kids inherit it from you. So time as a narrative tool was a common advantage back then versus now, which we'll talk about later, which would be, I believe, challenging. And you can see even Kishimoto himself, the creator of Naruto, is struggling with it a little bit uh, with Boruto, which he took, is still taking a big part in script writing for. Now, if you feel for a second that time in the show you're watching and in your real life is even closely similar, the strength of the connection that you form gets like tripled, quadrupled even. Imagine if you like come back from school and Naruto still looks the same, then tomorrow you start looking a little bit different, then Naruto starts looking a little bit different, and so on, rather than you have dinner and come back to watch your show and the hero aged a million years, you know? But also the opposite, the other side of the extreme, like One Piece is a little bit challenging. Like you want to take your time, but you don't want to take your time. Like I outgrew Luffy, for example. Don't kill me. I love One Piece. I love One Piece. I'm just talking about one small baby aspect of it. The fact that the whole show still goes within a very tight timeline. So, like, sometimes you're older than Luffy now. You started watching him when you were a kid. He was a kid, but then you grew up, and your friend is under the Peter Pan effect. He lives in Neverland. He never grows up. You gotta move on, at least from the personal connection, and you start watching the show from outside. While Naruto maintains a perfect POV, you are growing up. He is growing up. You can walk in his shoes the whole journey. Suspension of disbelief achieved. You are in it. You are in it. They're taking their time. They're making it realistic, but it's not too slow for you. You are walking with them. You are pacing with them. And during that time, it does not look like this. The journey doesn't look like this. The journey also doesn't look like this. No, the journey looks like this. Yes, the general curve is going up, but there are the setbacks. There are for every character, not just Naruto, which is perfect world building, man. Everyone has a different character that they're connected to in Naruto, not just the main characters, not just the protagonist. Like everyone has their lore. The side characters have their own side character, and the stories have their own backstories, and the backstories have their own backstories, and that's what happens when you have time and patience, an audience that are willing to listen to you, or audience that are willing to go on the journey with you. Character development was done brilliantly on the show. If you find yourself connecting to a character and some episodes you're just cheering for them, and other episodes or other chapters you want to punch them in the face, that is well written characters. That's the human aspect of what you are watching. This is showing, this is realistic, this is a character that's gonna age like fine wine. That's why in 2026 we're still talking about Naruto. Well, I promise you, in 1 or 2 years, a lot of the shows that came out that are hype right now, nobody's gonna mention them. Nobody's gonna know them. You're not gonna see YouTube shorts of them. Let's just keep going. This is this is what I was talking about. You are growing like this. You are not growing like this. You are not growing like this. You can see Naruto grow emotionally, and that is very important. The way he talks about things goes from childish to mature to responsible. When like, for example, his dream of becoming the Hokage, it started as like, I'm gonna be the Hokage because I want to be the coolest kid in the village. I want to be loved. Yay! Then it goes to be like, I want to be the Hokage. This is the right thing to do. Then eventually it becomes like, oh my god, I will step in to become the Hokage and take all this weight, burden on my shoulders and dedicate everything to it and sacrifice and compromise just to be able to do it. That's emotional growth. Now, every time Naruto broke into a new level of power, he had an emotional breakthrough first, which was genius storytelling. Because you don't want that same little kid that stole the scroll and went into the woods to achieve sage level or have Kurama's power under his disposal. It will not make sense in your head. It will be like just random power ups, like Pokemon evolution kind of thing. You don't want that. You want your hero to earn his power ups, you know? So you can see that in Naruto, that was done brilliantly. Every time he got a power up, every time he became better, you can see that he deserved that. And Tokno Jutsu was the main showcase of that. Like some people like make fun of why Naruto keeps talking to people and trying to convince them because he's growing up. And that's what the real life is. You don't go guns blazing and like shooting people and destroying everything. That's not how you become a good man. You're not a good kid anymore. You're trying to be a good man. And a good man tries to do good. And you can see the emotional maturity every time Tokno Jutsu is getting better. His arguments are getting better because his perspective on life is becoming clearer and clearer and clearer. And he's not petty anymore. He's not like just a kid competing with his with Sasuke or trying to get into Kakashi Sensei's head. No, 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 no. He's a man that can stand in front of his enemies, people who flattened his village, find the humanity within them, touch it and change it. And that's like his fight with pain. That's when he was using sage mode. How can you be a sage if you don't have the wisdom to see the pain in your opponent or your enemy or understand what they want or understand how you can get out of that with minimum like damage and consequences? A sage deserves sage power. And that was just amazing about Naruto. Also, Kishimoto, take it responsibly. There are kids watching this. There are teenagers watching this. There are adults watching this. People that he will be responsible for inspiring them to choose violence or communication. So when your kid is watching Naruto, your kid is not gonna come the next day from school punching a kid in the face and suspended. No, no, no. Your kid's gonna come back from school a patient one, a supportive one for his classmates, uh, loved and like respected by everyone. That's what your kid is going to look like if Naruto and Kishimoto are his or her babysitter. This is what's going to happen. Also, Naruto was quite progressive for its time from certain aspect. The whole men and women thing, or male female, old young, balance of characters. It's just perfect. It's just perfect. Everyone is a ninja. There is no like. There are of course main characters versus side characters, but you can see the lineup of main characters and side characters is very well balanced between old, young, man, woman, funny, angry, cool, confused. It's literally a whole generation represented in that show. Even the classes, the social classes. This person comes from a royal family. This person comes from an elite family. This person comes from a poor background. This person comes from a working class background. This guy is a nerd and he's loved. This guy is a jock and he's loved. This girl is pretty and she's loved. This girl looks normal and she's loved. This is a tough girl. This is a software, whatever, whoever you are, you could find someone in that show, someone in that story. Hold on tight to them and grow as far as they go, and they went far. The gradual world building. No dropping reveals in the Naruto universe. Everything expanded at the same pace and rate of character development slash your attachment to the show. You started in the Leaf Village with this size of story, and you took your time to connect to it and explore it. You went to ramen shops, you went to classrooms, you sat on the swing, you went to the playground, you went to the woods, you went to people's homes, apartments, like you saw how Naruto lives in, and everything. And once the story and Kishimoto felt confident that you have built a meaningful connection to the center of that world, to the center of that universe, they started sending you on a road trip, just like a real child. Hey, you grew up now. I think it's time to take your first road trip. Let's go on an adventure. Just you, your teacher, and a few classmates. Kakashi, Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke. And you start going on road trips and going on small adventures. Then you come back because we are introducing complexity. We're not bomb dropping complexities. Hey, Naruto, remember you lived in the village for the last 2 or 3 arcs? Suddenly, look outside. It's the whole world. Deal with it. No, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be dragged out of the house when they're 10 years old and dropped in the middle of like a busy square and like told to deal with it. No, 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 no. That's not how world building should be done. And again, world building is something that I will always go back to because that is what modern Japanese literature is all about, taking you into it's your own isekai. Like you know how they get moved into a new world in isekai. That magic, whatever magic or video game that they get sucked into, that is our isekai. Anime and manga, you suspend disbelief, you invest all your senses into whatever you're watching or reading, and the isekai you into that universe. And if that universe is hurried or built like in a fragile way, it all collapses in your head as a viewer, and you just hate yourself. So gradual world building is the way to go. Ironically, the best world building, in my opinion, of course, I'm just a teacher. You can, of course, criticize and disagree. But the best world building I have seen was not in a manga or anime. It was in a manhwa, a Korean comic or webtoon. It's called Noblesse, and you should check it out. And we will do a whole live about it. Noblesse is brilliant. World building in Noblesse is so organic, so smooth that you don't even realize how far you've come. You'll be like, in the beginning of the story, the story, I'm like, oh my God, how did I get here into this gigantic universe of characters and places? Like we started in that some random middle school or high school, and now we are in a castle like with like royalty. It's a vampire, werewolf, zombie, cyborg story. you know, the the average buffet of East Asian imagination. So gradual world building, the time element, like we said. Now, the time element was not only integral in world building, it was also very vital in how relationships evolved. Sometimes, in some stories, the character redemption or the relationships just feel forced, how they shift from enemies to friends or from good to bad and so on. It doesn't feel organic. Like I remember I used to watch Dragon Quest growing up, and there was this character, Dai, and Dai would face an opponent, and right after their battle, Dai beats that opponent, and suddenly that opponent is a redeemed priest, is like a sage, a monk, and he is 100% with Dai in his journey. That's the relationship now. We went from trying to kill each other, complete enemies, very aggressive, to now like, whoa, best friends, I love you. Yeah, that felt a little forced and showed only respect for power. That you defeated me, you must be right. I follow you now. That is not the mechanic that you want your kid to grow up believing in, because that's how we end up with the insane people running the world. You want relationships to evolve like they evolved in Naruto. They grow organically. Friendship is not perfect. It has anger, it has betrayal, but it has reconciliation. It has being the bigger person. I'll extend my hand, and if you slap it, that will only make me the bigger man, and I will extend it again. Naruto, to the last, the very end, stayed by Sasuke. That's a lesson you want to teach your son or daughter about friendship. The relationship with his mentors. I'm rebellious, but then I realize they want what's best for me. Then I respect them, then I revere them, then I'm asking them to be my best man at my wedding. That's also the kind of relationship that you want your kid to grow up having with the adults surrounding them in their lives, whether it's teachers, guiding counselors, uncles, aunts, even you as a parent, and of course, Naruto and the village. Oh, what a masterpiece about a turbulent yet extremely healthy relationship a person can have with society. I'll tell you, it's more common than you think, where a person would have really good relationships in their circle, like with their family, with their friends, but an insanely turbulent, disconnected relationship with society in general. Like, I was born in the wrong country, I was born in the wrong time, my society doesn't understand me, people are evil, people are blah blah. That's more common. Like a lot of you watching some at some point or another, you're like, oh my god, I wish I was born in Japan, right? Especially Japan. I don't know why everyone fantasizes about being born in Japan. My name is Salaryman. I worked in East Asia for many years. I worked 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week, and I have come to discover that the only reason people fantasize about living in East Asian countries is that East Asian countries keep society a completely blank canvas, uh, without like very clear characteristics. So you see it and you're like, I can be that. You project yourself, you imprint yourself on that. But it is not true. You were not born at the wrong place or at the wrong time. You just need to learn from Naruto that if your society is not understanding you, is not getting you, you need to take your journey further and be the change that you want to see in your society. Find ways to communicate. First, he starts with the immature thought, like, I'm gonna show them how awesome I am so they can love me. And then he grows into, no, I will love myself and worry later about if they love me or not. And then he becomes like, I love myself and I love them and I will show them love. And that's how they end up loving me. And that's the genius of Naruto. Because I remember distinctly, that I went through the same roller coaster with him of where I was born or who I was surrounded by, and how disconnected I felt at times, and how eventually I managed to just integrate on my own terms. And it all started by loving myself. Kurama represents that. Inside Naruto, Kurama represented the lack of connection that Naruto had with his own self. Kurama was his soul, was his inside. Of course, metaphorically. I know in the lore he was not. He was the Nine Tails, but I'm talking metaphorically. And once Naruto was able to calm that anger, that dissatisfaction that he had towards himself. His own monsters were attacking him, were trying to eat him. Once he established a channel of line of communication, he and Kurama became best friends. He became best friends with himself, and he didn't need anyone else. And he organically and smoothly attracted the love and respect of everyone without needing anything, without doing anything. Now, rebellion, friendships, bullying, and even relationships like dating and girls and crushes and so on. All these were discussed in detail and heavily in Naruto. You are not missing anything from your life as a teenager. Like, hey, we were children. Remember, I said, let Naruto babysit your child. Well, let Naruto babysit your teenager as well. You, Naruto will teach you a lesson or two. Naruto, the show, not the character. He was learning along with us about having a crush on someone, dealing with romantic feelings, uh, being angry and rebellious, yet being respectful, and understanding the difference between someone who's trying to just push you around or just wants what's best for you, and when is it okay to be right and fight for what you believe in, and when is it okay to just concede and move on. Of course, the perfect moral principles that the Leaf Village was based on and how they were unattainable, and everyone ended up making mistakes because reality works like that, and the uh, moral conflict. Moral conflict inside every character. Should I do this or should I do this? And moral conflict in the stage of main characters such as Naruto and Sasuke. And then you have also in the background so many moral conflicts going on with side characters, such as, not side characters, but like other characters, such as Gaara, such as Itachi, such as the almost every member of the Akatsuki. Like, it is so true, and sometimes you find yourself relating to it. But they did moral conflict so well. They didn't go deep into the dark aspects of it and actually confuse a teenager watching to think, oh, maybe I'm evil. Itachi was evil. He killed his whole family. Hey, mom. Hey, dad. No, it wasn't like this. They also eventually, every single time, showed you that it pays to be good. That even when Itachi was doing all this, he was just trying to do the right thing. It's complicated, I know, but it wasn't like a Thanos situation where half the people left the movie were like, oh, I kind of agree with Thanos. I think all half the world deserves to stop existing. That's not the message you want to be sending. Because we got enough of that in real life. I don't know if you have been watching the news or you're a history buff. In the words of the great Norm MacDonald when he said, I don't know if you're a history buff, but we've had some of those world-ending characters in real life, and I'm not looking for more. I want someone to help me escape the confusing reality into a moral conflict that still has moral clarity that I can build my personality around. Naruto was consistent. He started saying, I want to be Hokage, and he ended being Hokage. Hokage, 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 consistency. Yet every time it had a different tone, had a different angle, had a different motivation, had a different way of achieving it. And you can take that and measure it across the board with every element that Naruto had. Consistency, yet for changing and flexible and growing. He took his time. He did not backtrack anything. The only backtracking that happens in Naruto is not Kishimoto backtracking, it's characters correcting course, characters learning and evolving. Yet at the end, they were all very consistent with their identities. Gara still, by the end, had the scars of his losses, but he became a better man. Sasuke is still to this day angry, rebellious, carrying the weight of his scars and his mistakes, yet he is a husband, a father, a better friend. And Naruto, the same. Sakura is just the same little girl, silly girl that had a crush on Sasuke and was trying everything to just keep up with Sasuke and Naruto. She's still doing the same. She's still into Sasuke, but now instead of a silly crush, it's love, it's marriage, it's a daughter. She's still trying to keep up with Naruto and Sasuke, but instead of chasing after them in a silly way and doing things that uh, just does not fit her character, she found her own power, she found her own style, she found her own abilities, and she exceeded herself. They are the same, but they are not. Consistency while evolving. Not a lot of animes were able to do that. You can either find consistency, a boring, long story of the same character screaming the same, friendship, awesome. Or you can find extreme change that leads to backtracking and like characters becoming like a mush of different things. In a lot of modern anime, you can find that. And I'm not a fan of that because I invest in you because you're one thing. You can't just change the next day. Tell me, take me through it. What's changing? We need to keep some things consistent. You can't just go ahead and change your name and identity and the whole thing. Bye bye, child. Bye bye, teenager. Hello, adulthood. God, isn't it perfect that Naruto is a workaholic that does not leave the office and gets screamed at by his by his kids and have like a shaky relationship with them? Because that is the slogan of our generation, whether you're a millennial, a Gen Xer, a millennial, a Gen Z, that is your life right now. If you are in adulthood, you're working all the time, you're trying to make ends meet, you need the day to be 50 hours at least. Uh, you're grown, but you're still a child inside, and it's difficult. Marriage, dating, finding love. You're chasing after Sakura. You end up marrying the best woman in the world, Hinata. And eh, it's realistic. It's realistic. Follow in Naruto's footsteps. Work, marry a good person, have your kids, protect yourself in this world. A good family is a good support system. It's very lonely out there. You need that. You need that. That's the lesson Kishimoto was trying to tell us. Now, again, summarize what we talked about today. Long release time. They took their time with it. Over 15 years of serialization meant we had an in real time relationship with that story. Parallel aging, we were aging with Naruto. We were going through what he was going through at the same time. And if you want to replicate that with your kids, get them around ages 5, 6, turn on Naruto, put them in front of it, and watch the magic happen. Emotion and realism, even though it was like an upbeat, positive, like, oh, go get it show, still had its moments of confusion, immaturity, just pure anger, gradual change, gradual everything. Gradual is Naruto's magic word. Gradual world building, gradual character development, gradual power ups. Nobody's getting insanely powerful overnight. Now, can you produce another Naruto in the current media scape? No, you absolutely cannot. Actually, can you produce any long form of long storytelling in the current like atmosphere ecosystem? No, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Your videos are 10 seconds. Your movies are an hour and a half, and if someone makes a 2 to 3 hour movie, like, it's like, oh my god, what are you doing? Your shows are canceled on Netflix after one season. You are being programmed to only consume extremely short form content, even on the larger scale. Even the long form stuff are short form, the form version of. And you can feel that the creators are feeling the pressure, and that's why they're speaking out. They're like, we don't want it to appeal to global audiences because they know that if production companies and publishers push them to appeal to global audience, it's not just going to be English. It's not going to be translation and cultural bridging. No, no, no. They did that. Bucky did it perfectly. They had like pop culture references. They had Muhammad Ali on there. They had American Commandos, JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. They perfectly. They can do it. It's not that. It is the junk food fear. They believe that the West, and when I say the West, it's relative because they consider for them the Middle East and Europe are also the West. South America is the West. Everything is the West. Consume everything in a junk food form. Their clothes, their food, and their entertainment. And you look at the ecosystem of entertainment that we have right now, and they're like the longest YouTube video is 10 minutes. The longest show is 2 seasons, and they don't want to do that. They wish they can have time and space to create things like Naruto and Bleach and One Piece and things like that. But unfortunately, they don't have to because they can't. They can't do. They can't do. You can look at what's happening with Attack on Titan. You can see that towards the end, once it became like a global favorite, it was hurried, and I don't know, like was he pushed or pressured to have some like punchy, fast-paced storytelling? But you can see the tone shifts, like especially if you're reading the manga, because when you're watching the anime, like your senses are still taking in so much, so you can feel it. But when you're reading the manga, there is always a little bit of an element of confusion. And don't get me wrong, I love the mangas. I'm more of a manga fan than anime because it's just so easy to just scroll through it wherever you are rather than have to watch. But in the manga, I was a little confused because I got paced through the earlier parts of the story that it's slow, we might never know what are the Titans, what are the Titans, what are the Titans. Then suddenly there was like a time scale, it was like the Titans are blah 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 blah, and those people are from other countries, and we were gonna kill all of them, and then rumbling. Oh, and I was like, whoa, what happened? What happened here? I felt like you were like giving me a massage and suddenly started kneeing me in the face and putting me in a chokehold. Like you went from like a slow, beautiful uh, podcast with ASMR into Rampage Jackson screaming on a live stream and just choking people. So anyway, I do not think it is possible anymore. And I think right now the best way is to find a middle ground. We elevate our taste a little bit, and the global audience rise up to the occasion and start having a little bit of an understanding taste, a patient taste, and they start to adapt their style a little bit to become like somewhat a little faster or a little punchier or a little cooler rather than taking too much time with it or too many poses and so on. because, like I said, with Attack on Titan, you can see huge differences between what happened when it was like niche audience versus global audience. And I'm not trying to be a gatekeeper. No, no, no. I love that the whole world right now knows anime and manga. Everyone on the street talks about them. I love it. I'm a fan of it. I find more merch for cheaper prices. I find more people to talk to, communities. My YouTube feed is full of things that I like. I'm all in for it. I'm just saying, let's not ruin it. That's all. You do you, no problem. I'm just saying that if tomorrow, if all of them, because business and money trumps all, and Mata is partnering with Netflix, and before you know it, the whole Japanese ecosystem is going to be like after that money because they're facing some economic difficulties, and they're going to want that bag, and the Western bag is bag, you know. So before you know it, it's going to be all like the Jujutsu Kaisen style and the Herit part of Attack on Titan. Uh, and again, there's nothing wrong with that, but you will not be able to find any more. Like your most complex anime character in 2030 is gonna be like Jinwoo. You're gonna be like, oh my god, remember when Jinwoo was the main character? That was so complex. And and let me tell you something. Jinwoo is not even two-dimensional, not even one-dimensional. Dude is a trading card, as thin as air. He has no dimensions. He's non-dimensional. Again, very successful show. I have no beef with it. I watch everything. I love everything because just like normal movies or even literature, we read elevated things. We read epics like Beowulf. We read tragedies like Othello, but we also dabble in silly literature. Like we read the Canterbury Tales and we read the stories of like insane people and like town drunks and harlots and stuff like that. That's literature. And again, I'm here to teach. I am not here to impose my taste in any way. I just analyze. Please oppose me. Please fight with me in the comments. Get us to 50 subscribers so I can start streaming vertically because life is very difficult in the horizontal plane. I was not built to be horizontal. I want you guys to start seeing more of me. It's of course easier from the phone. I'll be streaming much more. I know this content is not easy to consume. It's long, it's detailed, it has a lot of broad thoughts. Please fight back. Tell me what to do. We can get it to be better. The goal is to go from a YouTube channel to all of us forming a community, then to starting like I have good connections in the field of education, have a background with that, and I can convince. God knows where it's going to be. It's probably going to be like a college in someone's basement, but we can get like a course running, certificate level. Then we push it after that with enough people to become like a diploma. And in a few years, who knows, you might be able to apply for a bachelor in anime literature or your kid. Anyway, someone might one day can get their PhD in Naruto, and I would be the proudest person in the world. So let's make history. Love you. Take care. The world is crazy, but you don't have to be. See you next time. Bye bye.